Thanks for coming to my channel. Today I just want to show you how I like to do my complexion. So these are all of my favorite complexion items. If I had to choose one thing in each category, this is what it would be as far as the complexion goes. So primer, foundation, concealer, etc. But let's get into it. Alright, so my favorite primer right now is the NYX Marshmallow Primer. I did a whole dedicated video on this and I love it. There's a reason why it's so hyped and it deserves a hype in my opinion. I don't love that it's so heavily scented. It smells like cotton candy, but at the same time, at least it smells good, you know? Like, it is a good scent versus a bad scent, but sensitive skin wise, it's just better if it doesn't have a scent, but that's fine. I still really like it, so I still use it and it does dissipate, so I can't complain too much. Let's move on to foundation. This should come as no surprise if you've been here before, but my favorite foundation right now is the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. This stuff is so beautiful and it's really lightweight. It's like a serum, but you still have really great coverage with it. So that's why I like it. And I recommend applying it with a brush first and then pressing it in with a sponge, just because it is so liquidy. If you go in with a sponge straight away, it will soak up the product, and this is not cheap. You can just see it looks so natural, so skin-like, but you get a little bit of dew with it, especially depending on what primer you put underneath. It'll really adapt to, if you put a matte primer on, it'll look more matte. If you put a dewy primer on, it'll look more dewy. So it's really versatile, and it just gives you a nice, healthy, natural looking glow. But now I'm gonna go in with concealer. I've been using the Vanish from Hourglass. This is the shade Silk, and I've really been liking this. At first I was like, oh, I don't know, it's fine, but one of the reasons why I like it so much is because the doe foot is just such a great size to get in there precisely and really place the concealer where you want it. It's just so small and nice, and I do love the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, which I talk about a lot, but I hate that doe foot applicator. It's just so big and you don't have any control of where you're putting the product or how much you're putting on, and this is really just perfect. You can really apply it right under the eye there, and I've noticed that has really helped me get the coverage that I need. I have my e.l.f. sponge. It's like a special one that is teeny tiny. I don't know the exact name for it, but I really like this sponge. You can really get in the nooks and crannies of the inner eye, which I have such a problem doing. As you can see, it just really fits right in there, and I have a lot less texture and a lot less crepiness when I use this sponge, so I love this thing. And I feel like the sponge really helps make it look more plump and hydrated and less dry. I have very dry under eyes, so I find that a brush will just make it look really creasy and crepey, and the wet sponge is really the way to go. My cream bronzer slash contour, I like to use the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. It's just super affordable and it works really well. You do have to blend this out with a sponge though. I'm not gonna lie, if you try to blend it out with a brush, it probably won't go very well. It really needs that moisture to blend out seamlessly. However, once you use the sponge, as I was saying, it blends out so effortlessly, and it just gives a really nice, precise bronze slash contour. All right, I have a dampened sponge here, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and blend out that contour that I was just talking about. And if you can, try to blend up and not down to really lift the cheekbone. My favorite cream blush, which is the LYS blush. I love this stuff. Again, oh, I didn't scratch it. Oh. Again, I talk about this all the time. I love it. It's so beautiful, and it's actually a matte cream blush. So even though it's cream, it does not pick up texture or anything because it dries as a matte, more like a powder. It really just gives a super nice finish, and it looks kind of blurring, almost like a blurring powder or something. It's really interesting. I love the color. It's a little bit of a deeper berry color, which is what I typically like most in a blush. Next, I'm gonna go in with my favorite setting spray right now. It's the NYX Dewy Finish Long Lasting Setting Spray. I don't think this adds any dew. I like it because I feel like it really makes my makeup last for a long time. Like, I always have problems with blush staying on my face. I feel like I put it on and then it just disappears within minutes, and this setting spray actually makes it last all day. It's crazy. And what I like to do is really go in there with the setting spray. This really helps melt everything into the skin and become seamless, especially when we get into the powders, which we will get to. But as it's drying, I like to just pat everything in, including under the eyes. That's probably one of the most important parts of this, is to pat everything in while it's still wet also. I have a fan back there that I sometimes use, but honestly, I just use it more so when I'm hot, which I might have to break that out soon. But you can also use a fan and blend it in at the same time, but just take a dampened sponge. It can be with setting spray, it can be with water, it doesn't even matter. Spray your face and then really press everything in, and it'll just make it look so much more seamless and so much more skin-like and less makeup-y. Now I'm gonna go in with my powder. This is the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin. I absolutely love this powder. It's the best powder I've ever tried. It is a full coverage powder, so you don't really need to use it for setting your face or anything. It might be too much, but the way that I like to apply it is to take this kind of velvety feeling sponge. It's like terry cloth, but really soft and velvety. And I just swirl it around in here, and you'll see immediately, like, this really gets rid of my texture. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? That's insane. Like, the coverage is so good. It makes your pores completely disappear. And under my eyes, when I use this, I swear my eyes have never looked better. And it does look a little bit powdery and makeup-y just because, again, it is a powder foundation, like a full coverage powder foundation. However, I'm going to show you in a couple minutes when I'm done powdering my face how to make it look more natural and skin-like. But let me just finish up. So you can see now my skin honestly just looks like perfect. It's definitely matte, it's not dewy anymore. I am going to go in with some bronzer now, and don't worry, we're adding powders, but we're going to go back in after and make everything look not powdery and much more dewy and skin-like, and I will show you how. But for now, I want to put on some bronzer and really warm up my face, because we do lose some of that with putting the powder foundation on top. All right, we are powdered, we're set. Now we're gonna go back in with the setting spray, and again, shake and do a lot of setting spray. I want you to see I put a lot on, like almost to the point where it's gonna drip off your face. And take that sponge again and press everything in. And make sure you get underneath your eyes, get in all the nooks and all the crannies. This really makes your makeup sink in and not look powdery, not look heavy, crepey, none of it. And if you think that it still looks too powdery or too makeup-y after you do this step, you can always just do it again. There's no problem going in with more and more setting spray. Honestly, it is a game changer. I think this looks nice, still a little makeup-y though, so I'm gonna go in again with more setting spray. Again, just keep putting it on. Keep spraying and putting on more if you feel like it looks powdery or makeup-y or heavy. There we go. And now you can see I really have that radiance restored on my face. It's not dewy or anything, it's just not cakey, it's not matte, it's not heavy, it's more of a natural finish. I'm gonna wipe some of the foundation off my lips just because it's bothering me. All right, we're gonna go in with some LYS blush again. You can see it really just disappeared when we put the powder on. This LYS blush, part of why I love it is because you can put it on top of powders and you don't have an issue whatsoever. Maybe because it's a matte blush, I'm not really sure. But yeah, this can go on top of anything that I've ever tried so far, and I have never ever had a problem. Gonna take my sponge again and just blend that out a little bit better. And now it's time for some highlight. I always go in with a powder highlight. Honestly, I feel like it looks less textured than if I go in with a liquid highlight, but that's just my opinion. I'm gonna use the Maybelline Master Chrome. This is crazy pigmented, which sometimes can be a problem because it'll pick up on your texture. But again, I'm gonna show you a little bit later how I diffuse this and really make it look more natural. I'm not even using a lot. I just did a really light tap. And I don't bring this all the way in. I really just focus it up here and then a little bit into my brow bone because I don't want that big stripe of highlighter. So we're all done now with the complexion as far as putting products and base products on. We're just gonna go back in with setting spray one more time. I'm gonna use the Luminous Dewy Skin Mist from Tatcha. You can keep using the NYX one or whatever one you want. I'm just gonna switch it up because I feel like I used a lot of this, but I'm gonna use this one. And you don't have to go as hard this time with the setting spray because really what this is for is locking everything in and giving it that final finish, and then just pressing in the highlighter so that it looks more natural and less like a just straight up stripe on your face. Again, I'm just gonna tap everything in, especially in the T-zone because that's where my pores show through the most, and then also tapping in the highlighter to make it look as natural as possible. And this really also helps de-emphasize the texture, so a lot of powder highlights will pick up on the texture on your cheeks, and I definitely have a lot, but once you press it in with the setting spray, it helps mitigate that a lot. And my last step is just to go in with some powder blush. I really want to set the cream blush just because if not, it'll disappear immediately. And I don't always do this, just sometimes to give it a little bit extra. I really like a lot of blush, so always have, always will. This is not part of the complexion, but I do want to put on some lip stuff. It doesn't even matter what, but my lips are so dry right now. So I'm going to put on a lip liner and a gloss, and there we go. That is my complexion routine, beginning to end, how I like to do everything, the products I like to use, the techniques I like to use to really make everything look seamless and skin-like, and I think it turns out really, really great, honestly, every time. The key is the setting spray. Spray so much setting spray, pat it in, and you'll be golden. But thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe if you liked this video. Even if you didn't, please subscribe. No, but hopefully you did. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video.